Welcome back to the Damage Counters podcast. We have an extra special episode this week that is not going to go 6 minutes longer than anticipated because I wasn't recording for those 6 minutes. So welcome back to the podcast, Chef Husky.
What's going on, my guy?
Snipe the Bench.
What's happening?
And our special guest, the man of the hour, the team owner himself, Ginge TCG. Welcome, brother.
Yo, what's good, guys?
Dude, it's an honor to have you. I am stoked to get into the details of your team. Also, want to give you a chance here to shout out your own podcast because you guys kill it as well.
Nah.
It's just an honor to have you, man.
I appreciate y'all, though. I'm blessed to be here, part of the space with you guys, so thank you guys so much for having me.
So, of course, we got to ask the question, jumping into this hot. You are now the leader of a new TCG competitive scene team. Tell us about the origin of this, why you started it, how you've gotten it put together. And then from there, we'll move into one of our own podcasters, Chef Husky, being on the team.
Nah, absolutely. Little take two of this. So the team was created. Hold up, we got backtracked just like the first time. Little bit of Ginge TCG, a little bit more of the Chris side, me outside of the Pokemon TCG realm and just Pokemon in general. For those of y'all who don't know, or you guys now know in the call, I am in a graduate program for psychology. I want to be a psychologist outside of Pokemon. And last semester, I was sitting in a diversity class where we were just talking about different ways to just incorporate being a good human, because that's kind of, I feel like, what most psychologists strive to be, especially in a field like that, outside of the work environment. That kind of inspired me, what can I do more in a situation where I have a channel, there are people who watch my videos, what can I do more to create a safer and happier and more fun space for people? And that's when I'm like, this is about time we get a little more competitive with things. I was inspired, and I'm sure we'll get into that when we talk about Chef, with some events like the Creators Cook-Off, to create a team, take a more competitive route, in my playing life, and kind of tie some people in who are ready to create an atmosphere where we're not only trying to push for worlds, because obviously with Draw Past TCG, the goal is we're pushing for worlds. We want to be a very highly competitive team. Shout out some of the GOAT teams like Shovel Squad, Dead Draw Gaming, Girl Power TCG. Y'all, some of the key team inspirations
Goats.
for mine. Yeah, for real. But I want to almost create our own space where we're not just a team of competitive players. I want to create a team of people who are willing to lead, not just in results, but also inspirational people. People who are out there helping the community, trying to just further boost the safe space we got. I gave the example before, and I love this example. I do it all the time when I play. If you're playing, maybe not a regional or league cup, because those are a lot more competitive, but you're playing at a local, you're sitting across from a person who's never touched the game. Are you going to be the person who stomps on them with something like Dragapult right now? Or are you going to be the person to be like, yo, let me see your hand, let me help you out? Even if it means you lose the game, even if it means you throw and you gave up the prize pack, but you created a first time for someone that's going to make them keep coming back and fall in love with the hobby. I want people who could do both sides of that coin right there. So that's what Draw Past TCG is founded on. And one of the guys on this pod right here, I think, embodies all of that.
Chef Husky, couldn't agree more. Before we get into that, Ginge, your channel is that space. Been watching you. Been watching Snipe for a lot longer than we ever put this podcast together. Of course, Chef Husky brought us all together, but you got a great channel, man, for sure. And I think, Chef, you definitely embody that. You are the guy at locals who does not take it hard on kids who couldn't get their damage counters right. I still remember that video.
Yeah, that Regidrago player.
Yep.
I almost lost to him because he wasn't applying his damage, but I was like, you know what? It's fine, I have a very similar philosophy to you, Ginge, where ever since I started playing, I was never about, crushing people with the heaviest meta deck in format. It was always about having a good time. It was always about the meme decks. It was always about, can I make this funny? And that's what his whole channel was always about. Ever since my very first list was Palafin EX, not meta by any standards, but it's funny.
Yeah,
it hits crazy hard for a stage one. It's so awkward to put into play, but it's fun. I have a great time playing Palafin, or I'll play a ton of other decks, and I think I did always have a plan to go serious with it eventually. That's not to say that my meme decks are going to stop. I'm always going to be playing meme decks, but once Ginge put up that video asking for people to join his team, I was just like, this is a perfect opportunity, because eventually I did want to go serious, and who better to go to Worlds with than Ginge TCG, one of the best players I know, one of the best competitors. He knows a ridiculous amount about the game, and who better to have as a coach than this guy?
I appreciate that, bro. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping we can go far together. I'm hoping that that this philosophy of we're people first, competitors second.
Yes,
is really what drew me into it.
Yeah, and I hope Stu and Bench, that's a Snipe. That's not to take away from y'all. Like, y'all got a space on this team. You say the word, y'all. If you guys don't know, watching this, they are awesome people off the camera as well, and they also embody this. I don't want to take away from Chef, but I also want to say everyone on this podcast you're watching, stick around on it, because these are awesome people. You can learn a lot from them. They're amazing players, and they're amazing people at heart too.
Next year, more of a possibility.
Yeah.
Snipe, I am interested in how you feel about the team atmosphere and competitive play, because you play competitively and you play seriously. The decks you make are really good. I would love to pick your brain on, would you ever join a team? And of course, whatever you say here, I don't plan it as like offense to Ginge. I just think it's a great topic to talk about objectively.
That's literally my go-to saying. I'll go up to somebody and be like, can I pick your brain for a second? And literally that starts a lot of conversation with people who now, I text all the time and be like, hey, I got this going. Which way should I go? Actually did it just before to, if anybody watches this channel, shout out to Edwin Bach, who comes up with these cool decks. And messaging him, be like, hey man, I want to change 2 cards. What do you think? And, he'll be like, heck no, don't do it. Or that's not a bad idea, but got to test it. So that's usually what I do. I got my local buddies who I just literally just text and be like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. And they'll be like, yeah, but, and because you can't come up with everything yourself. Having a team atmosphere would be great. And I tried it with the guys who I wouldn't say forming a team, but none of us want to play the same deck. And I think that is one big thing about these teams is they get outvoted from other players, other teammates, and they do play the same deck, which is cool.
Yeah. I think that's the one thing I've noticed about ours. We've had one official practice, if you will, and then a couple others little just meets, let's get to know each other type things. I think we've created too an environment. And Chef, you could either agree or disagree, whatever. Let me know how you felt, but I think we were comfortable talking about different decks, playing different lists. I mean, there's a couple of us that were doubling down on the deck I made and just posted on the Roaring Moon single prize box.
Oh yeah.
But helping you test out decks, Mega Blitz, another great team member, didn't seem to want to play that, but was right there helping you and me figure out the best list for getting you going with it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was Bluestone was there.
Yeah. Bluestone.
What was I going to say? Yeah, no, it was the first time that I had felt like the expert on Monkey Dory Frostlass. Because I think one of the guys in the team was looking at Marty's Grimmsnarl, and he's just I don't really see the appeal. And then I was able to break it down on why it works. And yeah, it felt pretty good. It's just he's yeah, so this is my domain, and I can kind of help with this part.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
So are you guys all playing the same list?
No.
How does your team operate? Give us some top-down views of Draw Pass.
I think on the inner workings of the team, we're all talking about we're still getting to know each other. Obviously, as people, not many of us know each other outside of the first few calls at all. So one of the things I'm trying to work through is what archetypes do people like? I don't want to change the skill set of any person. I think the most important thing when you're playing a regional is obviously a good deck, like Snipe said, but also asking other people, how can I make this deck better? So personally, like, I love playing a lot of meme decks, a lot of rogue decks. I'm the guy who plays the wacky stuff at locals like Husky. I'm changing that as well. I have played some, not meta decks, but like more known rogue decks before. I'm going to be doing that a lot more now. But in general, I like single prize decks. I think I'm a very good player with them. I think that's my strongest natural archetype. I think Chef also mentioned he's good with that. But my boy Avery, or I Am Guardian, if you know his channel, he thrives off stage 2 decks like Dragapult, like Charizard, decks in that realm, and I don't want to take away, so I just want to help, almost create little pockets where it's like, hey, they know Chef and I are playing single prize decks, but we know how to play against stage 2 decks, so we could think, hey, this is very strong for Avery, or he could do the same to us, so I love that in Ancient Box, because I hate going against that, or, like the flip side for him, so I want to build on the skill sets we have, and not take away, box everyone into 160. I encourage all the differences. When you bring all the differences together, that's when the strongest stuff is going to come out. Pressure makes diamonds type of mentality.
Yeah, you got to also look at it from like a stats perspective. You guys are going to be able to see really well how certain archetypes deal with the meta.
Yeah,
right? Because you're going to have different ones on your team. So it's not going to just be, okay, all 5 of our Dragapult decks lost.
Yeah.
Like, okay, yeah, but Dragapult lost across the tournament. We didn't really learn much there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And maybe there comes a time where it's like there's one regional all 10 people on the team go to, or 9 people on the team go to, and we all happen to play the same 60 because we're testing it and we're like, yeah, this is it. I'm sure like that might happen. Or we could all go and play 9 different lists. I don't have a problem with either of those. So
with everyone playing different lists,
yeah.
How are you guys practicing efficiently?
So that's where we're doing a lot of it through Discord because most of us don't live close at all. In fact,
I guess
very few
real
of us
quick,
do.
how many players?
9
how
right
many people?
now. Subject
9.
to change.
Okay.
Team is still very new. Application portal technically isn't closed. If you're watching this, go apply. You might as well snipe Stu. But in all seriousness, like, I am trying to figure out, so we've got a couple practice times set for the team. Always subject to changes. Life goes on. Maybe we need to switch up a day, get more people. I don't want this to be a high stress thing for people. If they can't make one of them, it's cool. You're a little burnout. You need to take a break for a couple weeks. It's cool. But when you're at the practices, we're dedicating the first 30, maybe 45 minutes, to heavy 9 people analyzing the format. I use websites like Trainer Hill. Everyone uses Limitless. I'll go through Pokekabook to look if new sets are coming out. Any resource we have access to, we're analyzing what decks are just strong right now. What do we identify as the meta? What do we identify as the decks to beat? And then the next 30 minutes to however long people are playing, because we don't have end times on our practices, just start times, are just new voice chats that I've just named table 1, 2, 3, and 4. And those will be rooms where it's like, let's say us 4. Like we could have a comfortable conversation with 4 people testing one deck. And maybe that's Chef's, or mine. I don't want to out any deck anyone is playing. Like maybe that's my Roaring Moon deck. And I'm just running a gauntlet. And you guys are spending one day helping me do that. And maybe edit a card on the list, maybe not. Especially if us 4 are looking at the same deck, we might do that a little bit together and reconvene with the team after. But it's hard to test one deck when there's 9 people in a call. So in creating those rooms, we could spend 30 minutes running a couple matches and then kind of quick ping, like we're all friends, we're all cool. We don't mind getting a little ping like, hey, can, a couple more people come in the main voice chat if you got a sec. Help me refine a list. We got a couple ideas cooking. And then maybe just keep re-breaking out from there.
I mean, I'll expose Chef. He's playing Rhyperior Persian to the next competitive tournament. Get ready for Giovanni's charisma out the wazoo.
Good lord.
Well, we just
helped headset, I think, as A-Spec, right? Yeah, headset.
Yeah, totally. I didn't want to out him because we did just help him do that. But that I didn't want to say the 60.
No one's ready for it. Okay.
No, like I appreciated the other day. Like I came into the chat there and I was just like, hey, I just got my cheeks clapped by a Terra box. Can you help me practice against that? And Ginge just went in there, downloaded a Terra box list, and played that against me, so I can, figure out how it operates. Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah. And I'm not necessarily the best Terra box player. There was 3 people playing my deck. I ripped a list that seemed to be pretty common, seemed to be the top one. 3 people are piloting it. Together, I'm confident we piloted it as best as we could. And helped Chef in a couple situations where it's like, which could be more optimal. But for the most part, like, it's stuff like that I think, when we're playing different lists and stuff, that doesn't mean we're not good players playing other decks. Like, I'm confident all of us have the skill level to branch out. And also are people enough to not show up to every practice. I need to practice my deck every single practice. I didn't touch my deck last practice. I'm sure on the next one I might put a little more self-emphasis, like, hey, could someone help me just run a couple matches? I'm looking, for 1, 2, 3. But, we'll flip. And just because there's a practice time doesn't mean we can't run matches outside of that. We've been pretty active in the chat, talking about lists, sharing how we're doing at Cups, editing new cards coming out, looking at lists, how does this change, stuff like that. So I like the environment that's being built. Of course, it is a very new team. Chef, how long has the chat been up? I think you were the first one that I didn't know in real life in it. Maybe a couple weeks, 2, 3.
Yeah, it's been maybe 2.
Yeah.
2 weeks to maybe 3.
So the progress we've made in 2 weeks, is it perfect? No, we're still figuring out like our set practices and everything. But I think we've done way more than I thought. In terms of progress and getting chemistry and flow going in this time.
So, kudos to that, because very difficult task. We can talk about you putting a team together, and it sounds way easier than it is, right? There is so much logistics you're doing behind the scenes, so incredibly impressive to see it all, really fleshing out and come together. When is your guys' first competitive tournament that you are showing up to as a team together?
Now, July.
Because I think anyone listening wants to know, when can I start seeing results for Draw Pass, right? Because that's what I want to know.
Oh, yeah. July is the start of the new season. All of us are hitting the cups immediately. Now, together, I think I've talked with everyone at one point about picking a weekend. Because there's going to be a large gap between the first regional. Because it's like July the season starts, but then it's Worlds in August. And then the next regional probably won't be till September. In July, we're thinking about picking someone's place. I've offered mine. Everyone just pull up. I'm going to find a weekend where there's a cup or challenge Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I'm just going to take all of us to it. And we're just going to run it. You know what I mean? And then my podcast channel, not to take away from this one here, but my podcast channel, there's a lot of content creators on the team. We might start mini series. Like I know Chef was talking about, like an infrequent one, but just getting like team stuff out there. Like little how-to videos, kind of build on that, not just competitive aspect, but teaching and helping the community. I'm starting, and it will a weekly like how-to series on that channel. It's open to all of us just for more of the public, how we're doing post. Yo, hey, Husky won a cup. He's got, everyone will get the login info for the channel. Just log on, throw the post out there. You know what I mean? Hey, this is the list I was running. Like, I did awesome. Here's my matchups. I'll be doing that. A channel will just kind of be there for my own podcast, yes, but also now that this team has created since that, a space for the team to take on that. Like, here's more a public aspect. You don't have to just know our name and search it on Limitless.
Yeah. You should, I don't know what, the load would look like for this, but a team website would be sick, right? Be able to just go to your guys' website and see right up on the front page, what are the total wins right now? What are the points looking like per team member? Like, it would be sick to keep track of you guys.
If I could find a way to organize it, I would so love to. But I know, like, domains are really expensive, and if we get a website, I would just want a good domain. Like, give me drawpasstcg.com. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want some random string of numbers and whatever. But yeah, that would be tough. I definitely got to look into that.
I'm excited for you guys. I hope that your first tournament is a huge showing. I know that we have a tournament coming up next weekend, right, Snipe?
Yep, that'd be Portland.
Talk to us a little bit about not what you're cooking, don't expose anything, but talk to us about what you are feeling about the meta going into this tournament.
You better be able to beat Dragapult and Gardy, and which is funny because then the other deck you've got to beat now is Raging Bolt, so you got to be able to get O-code and still come back somehow. Right? Totally. And then, beating Dragapult, speed, baby. Which, me, 2-2-2.
Dude, we just saw the answer to Dragapult, or not Dragapult, Raging Bolt.
Raging Bolt,
in this last tournament.
Maractus.
The one of Maractus.
Oh my god. That was brutal.
That was insane, dude. I don't even like Dragapult like that, but I was in awe watching that 5 prize turn.
That was brutal. What was the total? 14, 16, like Maractus, and then by the way, I'm gonna counter catcher to keep going.
Yeah, he had the Latias trapped for 10 turns, and then he trapped the Fez for 1 more turn.
It was insane.
And you gotta play switches. I don't care if you're a Latias build, play a switch.
Yes,
or a Penny Turo,
to.
Something.
Yeah,
you gotta get out.
Say Penny Turo, a little bit better in my opinion, but you gotta have a way out.
Yeah, that was a big takeaway. So I'm sure there'll be a couple more switches this weekend in whose ever deck, which means the good part is they have to take something out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that is the biggest thing. People are like, oh, add this, add this, add this. Okay, well, what 5 cards am I going to subtract so the deck still functions? You know, that is the biggest thing.
That is actually a conversation I had with Control Players Unite, where he told me that the entire role of Control is to make them use deck space on stuff that they normally wouldn't, right? Because Maractus is a bit of a control-y card, right? And just that one of completely obliterated Raging Bolt. So now Raging Bolt's going to have to come up with a solution, take out a card or two to fix that Maractus matchup.
Mm-hmm.
So that I get it now. I understand the appeal of Control.
And I feel like what people underestimate too is not just taking out the space for a card, but can you reliably get that card? If you're playing an Arvin build and your answer to a card like Maractus is a tool, that's awesome because you have a natural search. If it's Penny or Turo and you're playing Knockdown, it's a trainer card like that works great. But if you can't get the answer out, is it worth it? Is that the right answer to it? And I think that's another level of fixing something like dealing with Maractus and Raging Bull. You have to find something that helps, but also you can use frequently if you need to.
That was that's always one of the answers that when I pick people's brain, I'm like, hey, what about this one? And they're like, yeah, but how do you get it? If you just hope it's in your hand at the right time, good luck.
Yeah.
Because it won't be. We all know it won't be. It'll be prized when you need it, the one game you need it. Or it'll be at the bottom of your deck.
Iono to right before, yeah.
Yeah, and then they'll Iona you. It'll be at the bottom of your deck.
Yep.
It's just like Jin just said, you got to be able, whatever tech you have, there's got to be another card to find that, and which now gives you actual outs. So the deck that I'm building with Portland, I've thought I had.
Are you willing to divulge? Are you wanting to go into it?
It's a form of Terror Box. I'm going with Terror Box.
Okay.
I'm going with speed.
Oh, yeah.
So but I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, this is the only way I lose. How do I not lose to this? I mean, you're playing Terror Box. How do I not lose to Unfair Stamp? Because I played it the other day, and it was a great setup, got my 2, and then all of a sudden, Unfair Stamp, and I'm like, draw pass. Literally, draw pass. I'm like, okay, and concede. I'm never going to come back now. Because they were just setting up their board. It was, so how in the world, so I'm thinking of putting in Genesect. But now again, there's so little room in the deck. What card do I subtract? Well, Genesect with Tool before I attack, if I can get it down, I don't have to worry about being Unfair Stamped.
Not just what card, you probably have to choose 2 cards, right? I mean, all of your tools in Terra Box are pretty important. To think about just locking one onto Genesect, I mean, maybe not in every matchup, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's already a tool. We're good. Not worried about it.
I like Genesect, though. I think it's underused.
Yeah, I mean, it also would stop the Raging Bolt from Prime Catcher late game. I don't have to worry about that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Or Joltik
but
Box
it's
Prime
like,
Catcher.
Yep, Joltik Box Prime Catcher. Make them find one of their, 7 other bosses they play.
True.
Jesus. Yeah, I had no
Okay,
idea.
speaking. Go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah, I had no idea they didn't play counter catcher, which seems weird because if you want to go second, meaning they're already having 2 turns, they're probably going to knock you out. Why wouldn't you play a counter catcher?
Because you got that much boss. You got that much boss, and it's that deck. Why play counter catcher if you're ahead? You're playing a deck like that. I'm not saying I agree with it. I honestly think it's not a super hard deck to beat. But
No,
I mean, when
it's
you're
not.
playing a deck like that, it's just, hey, my strategy is going to work because I am going to amp it into existence. And decks like that will either do well or they won't. And I think it had its time. I think we're already seeing the fall off of it. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
funny you
Joltik
mention
Pokemon.
bosses and Joltik box because I've been playing my classic, still trying to prep for this Crobat and Nidoking Poison Life. We're about to get all the tech we could want, but I've been playing the Poison deck, and I upped 4 bosses orders in it, and I am loving the Joltik box players on ladder right now.
oh yeah.
It is just you don't even need Petron. You just need Perilous and Brute Bonnet, and you win the game because they always put down a Joltik and pass.
Yeah.
As a single prize enjoyer, I always get a little bit scared whenever I see Iron Hands come back into the meta.
As a Roaring Moon player, I tell them if you play Baton and you don't have Future Boost Energy Capsule, I don't care about hands. You could 2-shot my Roaring Moon.
Yeah,
Like, that's fine.
I've been really liking Roaring Moon right now. I think it is just like it's an answer to so many Pokemon. Instant knockout is so good.
Oh, yeah. And the single prize
Yeah,
one.
the
I
fact
think the
that
combo between both. Play the poison package if you want. There's so many. You could play it so many different ways, and all of them are solid.
I'm playing it 1-0 in my poison package.
Yeah.
And honestly, being able to Calamitous, just drop off the stadium. I know it gives you extra poison, but if you're going for a KO with Calamitous with 200, then you just get a free KO next turn with Frenzied Gouging. It's so nice, man.
Oh, yeah. I'm with you on that one. That is my deck of choice right now. Is more the single prize variant with, like, the Dunsparce. Although I do play 2 Roaring Moon EXs, which I guess is more than yours. But I love it.
I
think
usually
there's so many ways
see
to run it.
1 in that deck. I like that you're playing 2, though.
I'm playing 2 and 1 Koraidon. I'm playing no games
I like
with getting Pokemon out to attack, and it's been great. There's room to grow. I won't talk about all of the changes I have lined up for different decks doing very well in the format at different times. But I mean, for the most, that's the list I'm running right now. I just made a video on it. You got the 4 single prize Roaring Moons. You got EX, which could give you some bulk, some instant KO. It's versatile. It's nice about Roaring Moon.
Fluttermane.
Yeah.
So nice to have in that deck. It just gives you so many outs if you need it.
Mm-hmm.
So, Snipe, we know that you're taking Terra Box. We know that Terra Box is strong, but you know what I'm really sad about? The Terra Box with Charizard never made anything happen.
That's still out
I don't know
there.
if you guys were... I mean, it's out there. It's out there. But it's not the Terra Box that is winning right now.
Well, that's because Charizard it's just not good. It's got a stage 1 that does nothing.
I know, man. I like Charizard just as like a Pokemon fan. I get that it had its run being really dumb. But it is sad to see that it just disappeared.
It'll come
Nah.
back. When Dragapult stonks go down, Charizard goes down.
When are their stonks going down?
Probably pretty soon with Monkey Dory Frostlass destroying it in Japan often. I'm
How?
not saying our format mirrors Japan a lot, but I mean that helps.
Wait a minute. So, Dragapult doesn't have an ability. Yeah, okay, Dracloak does, but if you get
Yeah.
to Dragapult, you are just doing 260 damage to these baby Pokemon.
It's with the snipe damage that could come with onto other Pokemon with Monkey Dory and Devo. The deck does not have to swing hard. Devo's board states, I feel like, frequently enough that it does pretty well into Dragapult. And I feel like as more formats go on, like right now we're still pretty early since rotation, more decks come out and there's more Dragapult players that just find loves for other decks and also just naturally leave. And I think it's the combination of, one deck coming out that's not perfect, that's not a great answer, but it isn't a bad matchup. It's not good in the sense where it's like 60-40, maybe even 55-45, but good enough that people could switch.
Yeah.
And I think it's stuff like that kind of helps, as the next season starts. Right now, Portland, Dragapult's your guy, deal with it. But I'm saying, like, in a couple months from now, like maybe after Worlds, Charizard's going to come back. Dragapult is not going to stay good forever. No matter how good the deck is, it will ebb and flow. VMAX did that despite winning literally every other regional for the better part of, 4 years. There were still times where it wasn't necessarily the best play because people were playing 3 Drapion. And there were times where it came back because people took out 3 Drapion and it won the next 3 regionals and it just flips again. So it'll come back.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I just think, Dragapult is the one deck that every time I see new cards that almost read like they're there to counter a Dragapult deck, everyone gets super excited. And then the very first tournament, Dragapult first and second place. Just had good hands. Just drew right, It hits so hard, so fast.
Has it won a regional since rotation, though? Isn't it just one?
Yeah, just this weekend.
Just this weekend, but is it any others?
Gardy Gardy won 4 in a row.
So. Yeah, it was 5 for 6. It won 4, lost 1 coming in, second or third, and then won the next one, or something like that. But Dragapult, I mean, it might not even be top dog if you're looking at stuff like that. Like Gardy, I think, honestly, still might be the deck to beat when you get to those upper levels. Maybe to make day 2, you got to know how to beat Dragapult. But if you want to make it far into day 2, you need to know how to beat Gardy.
Gardy is Voldemort here. We just don't say that name. We don't even bring it up.
Yeah, I feel like Dragapult has kind of opened itself up to more matchups. Because they play it slower now. I think when they did do the turn 1 sparkling crystal rare candy and then just absolutely wipe the floor with my snow runs, I didn't stand a chance. But now that I have an extra turn to set up my Frostlasses, now it's a better matchup.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah. I think Gardy has a straight out to beat Dragapult with Lilies of Fairy, but I think it is also open up to more matchups as a whole. That's why we're still seeing a lot of Dragapult.
Yeah.
I mean, Gardy's on fire. There is no doubt about that. And I don't want to jump the gun on this card, but Jellicent is going to go hard in Gardevoir decks.
I'm 50-50 on it. I don't know. Snipe, what were you going to say? Because I don't know. No, Snipe had something.
Because, Gardy wins 4 tournaments in a row. We help it out again.
Right.
That's crazy.
First, the base of it even blocks items, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is an item lock. Yeah, 20 damage, Frillish, 1 psychic.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah,
that's better than Badoo because it's got 80 HP.
See, but that's the thing. You need an energy. The deck will have to change significantly, though, because now you need an energy to attack. Everything in Gardy is a 1 retreat, and you're in with Badoo item lock. And I think that's where I'm not sold on it yet. I need to see what it looks like. Because now you're taking away what... I think the strongest thing about Gardy, the entire time it's existed thus far, is it's a single prize, I'm putting in air quotes, attacking type of deck. Because yes, there's Gardevoir EX, but it's always had Shining Arcana, and then it had Drifloon. It's always had great single prize options. Now it's switching entirely to a 2-prize deck. And the other thing is you need... What happens if you don't lead Frillish? You can't attach retreat, go item lock like you used to. Now you need way more switch outs or something like that. Do we play Latias because now it's an all 2-prize deck and that's something we can handle? But then you get Maractus. It's I think it's amazing. I'm terrified for what Gardy's going to become, but I need to see what it's going to become first because maybe 2-prize Gardy is beatable. Maybe it is. Even without items the whole game.
Who's got Henry Chow's number? Just ask him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. My whole thing is it's 270 HP. It's going to hit for 160 minimum because you know that we're putting enough damage counters on this to be able to send 60 or 90 with monkeys back over, right?
Yeah.
Dude, that's a huge hit in a Gardy deck that's already hitting really well.
Yeah. But now it's worth 2 prize cards. So now it becomes less of an issue for maybe, let's say Raging Bolt can work around the item lock. Let's just get over that assumption just for this example. like now Raging Bolt is trading so evenly with it. Like one of the reasons I think it's got a good Raging Bolt matchup, or even Dragapult, you're using a 1-price Pokemon taking 2 prize cards pretty much every turn with weakness KOs or just straight damage. Is Drifloon is good enough to do that too. And now you have a 2-prizer on the board. So if your opponent can adapt to that, now they're trading evenly. Is Gardy still great?
Yeah, but you gotta remember when it's in the active, it blocks items. So you've now take a 2-prizer most likely because you're hitting for so much, and now you're item locked. Like what the heck?
Hey, people are smart. They responded to Badoo. Decks adapted to work around early game item lock. I'm sure I don't think I'm personally smart enough to be the person to crack the code on how to do that consistently. But I'm confident someone will, and it won't be long once they do. Like I'm sure people right now are cooking up Gardy lists, and there's also a portion of people out there cooking up how do we beat that version of Gardy? How do we make our deck as pretty much itemless as possible? To handle that. And I'm confident.
One way is to use the Noctowl. That's why I'm jumping to it. Engine, but then you got the new stadium, which just if it's down, good luck.
Gardy with the colorless stadium.
It's ridiculous.
I think we start seeing more Pekron EX.
A little more single prize Roaring Moon.
We're all gonna go to Roaring Moon again.
Honestly though, that's a good out.
So I'm hearing a lot about the item block on this Jellicent. I'm looking at the tool block personally. If you do run the Jellicent line in your Gardy deck and you play against a Gardy that doesn't, you won.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Drifloon Gardy gets folded by no charm. Or
not
turns
even
off charm.
Not even just Drifloon. I mean, your Screamtail options are out.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you lose a ton without being able to Bravery Charm.
Yeah, definitely swings the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
If you
I think there will only be one way to play Gardy once it comes out. I'm just curious how the format responds to that. Hey, look, we were talking about a deck that's a dark type attacker that's fallen off, and we're waiting for it to come back. I'm just saying, Charizard EX. We know it as a fire type. The Pokemon card game does not right now. So, 330, kind of nice. It sets itself up with energy. Don't need the items. If we could see Amiibo a couple times.
Could this be the return of the Loyal 3? Because Latias works.
Latias does work.
We'll get there.
I don't think that we're ever gonna see the Monkey Dory EX do anything until it rotates out. Hot take, maybe. I think it's done.
I know.
Yeah.
I feel like the Loyal 3, I always forget Monkey Dory EX is actually in there. I literally just think of single prize Monkey Dory, Okie Dokie EX, Petron EX. Like in my brain, I forgot. That's, okay.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Crazy enough, the baby Okie Dokie is not bad in some fun rogue decks.
Oh, yeah.
I really enjoy that card. 100 extra HP just for a dark energy. I'm
and
a
damage.
Huge fan. Oh, yeah, and 100 extra damage on attacks. Yeah,
Little Crisis Punch if you already got the 3 energy setup. I've done it to a locals.
God, dude.
I've been there.
Not.
Oh, yeah. Are you kidding me? I don't just play the decks I make on my channel just for the channel. This is what I mean, every now and then I'll bring, not a super competitive, or not a super meta deck, but I will bring what I play. Like, if I say it's good on a video, I'm bringing it that weekend. Like, I'll run it.
Nice.
So, would that also apply to Blindside the TM?
I didn't, just because I wasn't built like that. I wasn't that cool person. But I mean,
because
if I need to do this, if this is a challenge, I'll do it. Like,
well, now you got me cooking. Can you run Blindside in the Hopsization deck and use all of the boosters to make Blindside like 160 damage snipe anywhere?
I have to reread the cards. Some of them might say to your opponent's active Pokemon, which could change things. Like you do 30 more damage with your Hops Pokemon to your opponent's active, and then Blindside wouldn't. Now, I don't know that off the top of my head. I have not spent enough time playing Obsession to have that memorized, but I can talk about it.
You know what would work, though, is a reversal energy in an Annihilate that's coming out next.
Yeah, I guess you're right. It would. Yeah, so the hops cards do read to opponent's active Pokemon.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, wait, I don't think that one would do it.
Also, you're not gonna be getting 3 energy on a Hopzation anyway, so that was too deep. That was way too deep.
Combo it in our Chaladin. I could see it happening. It's our Hops. Zacian is in our Chaladin sometimes. I'm not saying it's the most optimal way to run it or that it's a good deck right now, but like it exists in some way, shape, or form.
I'm still
I played
waiting to
against
get
one
Zacian EX promo. That's what I want for our Chaladon. The 210 slashing strike attack.
I played against one the other day. Sorry. I played against one just yesterday. It was Hopzation with Metang because of that energy recycler. Ooh. So they hit me for 240. I was like, dang, that sucks.
Yeah, okay. I could see and you're actually hitting for 300 if you're oh wait. 240 is base on that, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So you could you could hypothetically hit for 330.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Snorlax
I like
Stadium
the Metang
built
look for that. It feels a little gambly to play Metang at all times. Like I could have 25 energy in my deck and I still feel like I'm gambling with
Dialga V-Star won a regional with it. Some people will get 99% of gamblers quit before they win big. There will be someone who doesn't. Like someone will.
All right. If you're listening this week to the Damage Counters podcast, this is sponsored by Ginge TCG. Gamble until you hit, because if you quit, you will have been one away from your hit.
That's all I'm saying.
And DraftKings. Save 50 on your first.
Okay. So, okay. Moving from that and segueing to a good point, DraftKings, obviously toxic for many of people in life. But you know what else can be toxic for many people in the exact same way as sports betting? Pokemon card buying. The whole scene right now is really weird. There are just like people dedicating their whole lives to trying to make money scalping, and it's like, all right, well, what happens when this set just totally flops and you lose everything you just spent? You're fucked.
Unless you're a competitive player. Chef and I actually have talked about this. Or I
did a video about scalpers just the other day, and I am happy to see the scalper rage now that the prices are going back down. I did see that I think on PokeBeach they put out an article saying that the black and white set is most likely going to have the same kind of shortages. But at least for a little while here, like the Destined Rivals set is looking like it's not experiencing as many shortages. I'm glad to finally have our hobby back for at least a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I also, though, I think that is very true, that the hobby is getting available in some sets. Also, constantly see videos on the internet of people getting in legitimate fist fights over this stuff.
Jesus.
Like, it's just unbelievable to me that you would risk getting an assault charge as a grown adult for a Pokemon card. Like, I love this game. Dude, I'm sitting here at 11:09 p.m. making a podcast about the card game. I'm not shaming it whatsoever. I love it. But to get into a physical altercation over a card game card is crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think after my 5th Dragapult loss in a row, I might start throwing.
See, but that's different because you play the hobby. Like, that's justified as far as I'm concerned.
That's just letting the boys fight, ref.
Yeah. I don't know. I think and now hear me out before I finish. I think a light, and let me emphasize, very, very light, nowhere near where we're at level of scalping is actually very good for people who play the game. Because if there are scalpers, that means they're going to buy out stuff. I don't want to say everything because I hate that everything is bought out, but they will buy out portions, right? And then they're going to panic sell all of the Knocked Owl commons, all of the Dunsparce commons, all of the single prize Raging Bolts that people are, have been secking in, all of the Maractuses that people are probably buying right now for like a cent. And I think having a light level of scalping keeps this game from becoming something like, Magic the Gathering. To create and stay up to date with competitive Magic the Gathering decks, playing meta decks, you need to drop like over $1,000, probably a month or every other month on new cards, because that game doesn't have the same level of scalping. It's just got players, and players will overcharge the playable cards, but now when there's cards that have value that aren't necessarily playable, that splits. So I do like, again, light, not fistfights level of scalping.
So Magic is really interesting because if you were to go buy a new Commander deck, it's market valued per card. So when you buy the deck, if you have a card in it that's market value is $15, we'll go ahead and add that 15 to every other card in that 100 card deck's value. And that's how much the deck costs. They've completely shifted their model to market value pricing.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't realize that. So maybe I misspoke on referencing Magic on it, or I'm still referencing the old Magic that I knew growing up.
And I mean, that's Commander, right?
Yeah,
I know
that's
Common, and I know all the other stuff is very different. I know that it is one of the most intensive money-wise to play. Thankfully, Pokemon TCG is not, other than the travel side, which is actually really expensive. Traveling is not cheap for anybody.
No. And I think
I'm happy
so.
I just got monetized, so I can start putting aside a budget for that.
That is out of Pokemon's control, though, so it's hard to fault Pokemon for that specifically. I think. I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
I don't think I'm faulting them necessarily as much
Yeah.
as just yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's weird because the VGC side of things for double battles, the probably biggest competitive scene for Pokemon, they host grand challenges online, which allow people to get points to qualify for Worlds in an online tournament. Now, they don't host these more than, I think, twice a year max, maybe. I could be wrong. It could be once a year. It would be cool to see something like that added to the card game.
Maybe I'm
People have been asking for that.
What's
People have been asking to do that for at least a couple of years, and they keep saying it. I think if you look at the updates, they were saying that there would be some online to get some points, but it just has never happened.
Now, maybe I'm just ignorant of how many people play and truly qualify for outside of the TCG, because over the past year I've spent way more time looking into the TCG than anything else. Do they have... I know, like you said, it's the biggest part of Pokemon. I think it's the most watched. I think if we're talking player base, the TCG has an insanely... every regional I've gone to or, looked at the numbers for, there are, double, triple the amount of TCG players as VGC. Now, I think if you look at the stream numbers, VGC does bring in more viewers, but I'm curious if maybe that's part of the reason why everything is in person, is because there's still so many people who do go to all of their regionals, that it's not online.
Yes, I know at EUIC or VGC had about 4,000 people in it.
Was there actually? Wow. Yeah, see, that's what I mean. I'm totally ignorant. I said that and don't know. Is every tournament like that, though, or is that just a one big one?
The big tournaments are about 2 to 4 now, and it's going to probably keep going up.
Yeah. Okay. Is that just ICs, or is that what? Do you know the regional numbers? I'm totally just curious.
I would think regionals are way lower than ICs, right? I think probably 1,500 maybe.
Not even, at least the ones I've gone to. They have so much less seating. I mean, yeah, maybe 1,500.
I think it depends on the region too, though, right?
Yeah. See, Portland has. I think there's only 1,700 and change. But
for
next month, TCG.
TCG.
But then you go to the IC and there's over 4,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's definitely a discrepancy whether it's a regular regional or IC. And I think you hit the numbers probably somewhere near there. There's probably a little over 1,000, 1,500 right in there, probably at a regional for VGC.
So, it looks like for Portland, This is the CP payouts. It goes all the way to 1,024th.
Wow.
So
Okay.
there's about 1,024 entries for this Portland on the VGC side.
Huh. Or more than that, if that's where the championship point is. Oh,
I'm looking.
Yeah, so is it only the top half get championship points?
I'm
for
not
this?
sure.
I haven't
Totally
looked this
ignorant
in depth.
on
It,
VGC.
it
does
depends
say-
on. It all depends on how many people are in it.
So can someone explain kicker to me? Maybe this
Yes.
is just a
So
normal-
that's
what it,
how many. Let's say I don't have it pulled up in front of me, but I'm going to go back to TCG because I know it infinitely better. If there is over, and I think the number is 2,048 people, then
I just sent this to the chat if
Oh,
you want to check it
perfect.
in Discord.
yeah. Oh, well, this is just looking at CP. That works too. So I was going to talk about the number of rounds as well when you're getting into it. But kicker is basically going to be how many people are there. So if you're looking at the bottom number, kicker 2,049, that you need more than that amount of players to have those placements 513th to 1024th to get 20 CP. So ICs can clear that number, which is why so many people get more championship points. And part of the reason why they're more popular because people know they can get championship points from
Yeah.
theoretically, and in air quotes, doing worse. Not to say they're doing bad, but just it's a lower placement. Whereas if you go to a regional and there's only, let's say, 1,800 players, which is still a lot, now only the top 512 are getting the championship points.
Okay, so I don't have stats then on how many people are exactly in this, but
Yeah.
I'd be interested to know. I will definitely be watching.
Yeah, and then that also, at least in the TCG now, that also affects the amount of rounds played now, and that's a new change. If you haven't seen, like in the past years, there's been regionals that are 8 rounds and not 9 rounds. It's always been you need to go 6-2-1, you need 19 points. Now the kicker, the base amount of players playing, I forgot if it's registered or just actually checked in. It might be checked in, but don't quote me on that. If it's not enough for what Pokemon deems to be worthy of 9 rounds, it is now 8 rounds, which means the tie is essentially kind of useless. And it's a little bit harder on those regionals, I think, to make day 2. Because it's an 8-round tournament for day 1, which is the only guaranteed play for everyone.
I mean, it is what it is. When it gets
Yeah.
this popular, it gets this competitive, right?
Yeah.
I am interested, though, to know what Pokemon's response is going to be for so many people in the stadiums that they've already purchased, right? I mean, you got to think that they have contracts for these centers around countries all over the globe, probably all the way out to 2026, 28. I was reading that they've already booked the 26 worlds or 27 worlds in California, maybe.
Yeah.
But
I'm not shocked.
San
was it the
Francisco.
Staples Center? Is that maybe what I was reading? Am I tripping?
San Francisco. It's in San Francisco.
San Fran? Okay, yeah, but I think they're gonna have to cap entries at a certain point.
I'm
It's just
almost
gonna
curious if they go back. I know a lot of people hated the new system where you need to be top 125 in the country. I'm curious how Pokemon responds to that. Do we keep the same format we're running with, which now created an environment where travel cost is more talked about? Because if you can't go to 15 regionals, you're cooked. You know what I mean? It's or maybe not that many, but if you can't go to 7, you're cooked.
yeah, the point stands. Yeah,
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, technically, you should only need to go to 4 because there's a cap.
best
You can only get your
best
your-
finish
your
limit is
best
5 for regionals and
Oh,
ICs.
for
It's
re-
4 for cups and challenges. But
got it.
if you go to
Okay.
5, let's say you go to 5 regionals, now you have to day 2 at all 5 of those.
All of
them. Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's I would, just based off that, on the team, on Draw Pass, I've talked about, hey, can all of you guys go to somewhere around 7? Because to go 100% on making day 2, all right,
That's
yeah.
insane.
You're
I
qualifying
got
for
you.
Worlds. So it's okay, let's get a little leeway in here. You hit your bad matchup first 3 rounds.
I have yet to make a day 2, so
I have one
Maybe-
under my belt.
maybe
and-
this weekend.
Oh, you got it. You're taking the whole thing
definitely.
home. I'm
this
not even
weekend.
worried.
Yes.
Hey, Atlanta was my first one. I actually had a win in try. Usually, I've made it to around 7 or 8. This time it was winning in at 9, and unfortunately lost. But
I'm sorry,
I was like,
man.
I was like, finally, I actually made it to the last round where I could,
Yeah, man.
I've had some good showings like 5-3-1 where I was one away, but I won the last three. I was 3-3-1 and I won 2 rounds.
Yeah.
So, but
I have
yeah,
one
Atlanta
day
was
too.
the first winning in.
Too stressful. Too stressful, man.
Ginge, what did you take for your day 2? Give us a little. We got about 10 minutes left on this before we hit close to an hour of content. So give us a little story time to ride out on for your first day 2, and only day 2, but the day 2.
Can I
iconic.
call out a player while I'm here? Rahul Reddy,
Dude,
100% win rate,
I
heavy
can't stop you
inspiration for
from
the
saying
channel.
anything.
That was my last round that I won. That guaranteed my day 2 run. Was beating him at
Nice.
original.
Raul is so good too. If you're listening to this, man,
Was it
you
within the
awesome.
last year? Was it within the
It was
last year?
Pittsburgh 2024. Or was that 2024? It might have been 2023 at this point. I don't remember. I was
So he was playing
RC's
Lugia.
He was playing Lugia, yes. He was playing Lugia.
Of course he was
V-Star.
playing Lugia.
Yes. And I was playing Arceus V-Star. If you know me, I'm a huge Arceus V-Star nut. That day was part of the inspiration, and specifically him, on creating my channel. I did not know he was a pro player. I was very casual. Not very casual. I loved playing my meme decks as competitive as I could. I was playing Arceus V-Star, Flying Pikachu VMAX, Tapu Koko VMAX, into a Gardy Giratina Lugia meta. And I went 7-0-2, day 1 of Pittsburgh.
Let's go.
Yeah. The match I needed to win, I think I was 5-0-2. So it wasn't the last round, so it wasn't 5-0-2. I think I was 4-0-2. How many points would that be? 12, 15, 16. Yeah, something like that. I don't know. But regardless, all I needed against Raul at the time was a tie to make day 2. And so did he. So I asked for the ID. This was my second regional in my life. And I'm like, hey, have you played at regionals before? As I say to Raul, because I know nothing about the game at that point. And he's like, yeah, I've been to a couple. I'm sweating bullets. I'm at table 14. There are 75 people surrounding us, staring at us. So I'm like, who is this guy? I've been to a couple. Okay, bud. But a cool guy. Play a game. I flip over Pikachu VMAX, and he's like, I should have took the tie. Blew him out of the water. Match 1, cooked him. Match 2, dead Drew. Match 3, gone. Good night. And he looked at me after, and he's like, dude, I should have taken that tie. That was awesome. Great meeting you. Ran up to me on the second day, asked if I was ready, gave me a little pep talk, and he's like, dude, you should look into creating a channel if you play decks like that a lot. You were an awesome player. I like talking to you. You had just a nice aura. Do it. And I'm like, man, that's harsh. Fast forward a week. I didn't have the best of day 2. I think I finished 8, 2, and 3 or something like that. I only had 1 win in day 2, but I had a couple more ties. Fast forward a week, I'm scrolling through YouTube, and I see Raul's face on a YouTube video. I'm like, hey, I played that guy. Look at his video. He's talking about a tournament recap, and I'm like, oh my god, let me look him up. And then I learned who he was.
That's funny.
Yeah, and then Charlotte, he yelled my name, found me. We were talking for a bit too. This super cool guy.
Yeah,
so
I met him. I met him, and I was looking straight up. He's like 6'3".
He's huge, dude. Brolic,
huge.
man, dude, he's jacked. Yeah,
Dude, he's huge. I was like, I'm looking straight up. I'm like, dude, I didn't know you. I was like, I've seen your videos. Obviously, you're sitting down. I was like, dude,
Yeah.
you are gigantic.
He's a mountain of a man.
Yes, he is.
But a teddy bear. He is so nice. I'm like, dude, this is my second regionals. I have no idea what I'm doing at table 14. I'm whatever. I'm undefeated still at this point. I'm like, I'm just happy to be here. And he just laughs at me. And he's like, yeah, no, I've done okay at a couple of regionals. I've been to a few. I little did I know.
He's nice, dude. He knows what he's doing. That's a fact.
Yeah. Amazing player. I just wanted to call him out as a joke. I hope if you are watching this, Raul, dude, I love you. Great guy. I hope to see you again. I do have a card signed by him. I needed it when I saw him again. But yeah, thanks for helping create the channel.
We want you on the cast.
Both pods. This one, mine, yes.
Yeah,
the team,
absolutely.
Draw pass.
So, speaking of your podcast and things that everybody here does, we usually take the last couple of minutes to see if you have any upcoming projects that you want to shout out, any videos on the way. So, Ginge, we'll start with you. Hit Chef, hit Snipe, and we'll wrap this thing up tonight, boys.
Word, man. I mean, nothing crazy, nothing out of the ordinary. Just cooking up, my normal goofy decks, having some fun with some different lists I've been playing. I will, on the Battle VIP's podcast channel, episode will be going up 2 days for the podcast itself. But then I'll also be starting a how-to series just to help just get more info out for almost like newer players or people newer into the competitive scene. Like I think on both fronts, like I'll be doing how to build a deck, but then also like how to read the meta, how to understand the meta, how to make your pick, different videos like that. A series will be starting soon on the channel. Yeah.
Professor Gnome, watch out. There's a new teacher in town.
Yo, my fault. No, I'm not trying to take your space like that.
Chef, what do you got for us?
Nothing too crazy. Just my usual rotation of crazy meme decks. I'm working on my first control deck, which is a variation of Chandelier, which is what kind of propelled me up into my claim to fame. But it's another Chandelier, Return of the Chandelier Mill. That's really all I got as far as content goes. But we do have that 5v5 that's coming up this weekend. You're in it. Ginge is in it.
Let's go.
Would have loved to have Snipe there, but you got Portland going on, so good luck to you there.
Hey, make sure you have it on in the background.
Yeah,
just in case I stream. Yeah, okay.
Oh, he'll be on stream.
Just in case. Dog's going to be all of the matches in top 8. I'm going to watch him 3 games in a row.
That would be great.
Too.
I will. But while I'm here, I did want to go ahead and possibly create another event. I wanted to challenge your podcast team to a cook-off. Our team versus your team.
Yo, we live, bro. You pick a time and a place. My team ready to scrap. You might be a part of Draw Pass, but like, I gotta stand on business if you're gonna call it the Battle VIPs.
I'm 0-2 against this man.
yo. I mean, you said it. You said it. Call me cringe TCG just to get washed twice.
Just to get washed twice. I know.
Yeah, I mean, I'll find a third person. We're live.
Let's do it.
I'm in. You got me there.
I'm in.
Yeah, I'm gonna need both of you.
Oh yeah. Oh, you're gonna.
I mean, we can't lose.
Yeah,
as a
no.
podcast
I mean, with
team.
Chef's record, you're gonna need some help, homie.
Dude, bring us Shuffle Squad. Bring us everyone.
Whichever team loses, the winner gets to absorb them.
That's crazy. Yo, put it all on the line like that. I mean, if I must.
Jeez,
I
we're
told
playing
y'all, I'm
Pink
one
Slip
gamble
Pokémon?
away from big. Pink slip.
Listen,
is
I got an 09 Honda Civic that barely rides. I'll put it on it before the channel.
Let's do it.
It's probably worth less than our channel at this point.
Are you being for real? I'll take the Civic.
No, Snipe, what do you got for us? Wrap us up here. Take us home.
I don't know how to follow that. I'm just getting ready for Portland this week. I'm going to try to do as many videos as I can. But I'm ready to do whatever you want. I'm about to hit summer here in next Friday, so I'll be free and have a lot of time in my hands.
Nice.
Beautiful. Ginge, thank you so much for being here. Boys, it's been a pleasure as always. Everybody watching, thank you so much. We appreciate the continued support. Throw some questions down in the comments for us, especially if you made it all the way to the end. Thank you guys for watching, and we will catch you next week. Peace.
See ya.
See ya.